Happy Mother's Day, if you observe. Happy Mother's Day if your mom's dead. I'm sorry. Happy Mother's Day if your mom was a piece of poo-poo. I'm sorry. Happy Mother's Day if you are a mother. Happy Mother's Day if you're a pet mommy. Happy Mother's Day if you've lost a baby. Happy Mother's Day if you're a father, being a mother to your children, mothering your babies. I am a mother. I have one daughter, and I'm not really sure what this video is about today, but it's going to involve my daughter. The safe thing for me to try to share would be how I manifested my daughter. Because I did. Didn't know what I was doing, but I did. But I think what I need to talk about is the color purple. And also faith. What do you believe in? And why do you believe in it? Where does your faith come from? It's a deep question. Some people will blindly say what they were taught as a child or what they read in a book. I want to know what God has done for you, what your God has done for you. We don't discriminate here in any way. I'm coming out. I'm psychic, and songs are a huge thing for me. And today, well, for the last couple days, Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out, has been heavy on my mind, and I was just listening to it. And I'm coming out. I'm not coming out as gay, but I'm not coming out as not gay. I don't know what I am, honestly. I'm at a new stage in my life, and I'm realizing all these crazy things, and every time I try to share them, nobody cares, or I get attacked. But I'm going to keep sharing, because somebody might need to hear this. Where to start? Oh, the color purple. Today's Mother's Day, like I said, and I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother, and I'm also a daughter, and a daughter-in-law, and a stepdaughter. I have 3 living mothers, my real mother, my stepmother, my mother-in-law. And my mother-in-law has been more of a mother to me than any of the other mothers, and I haven't been mothered. TV mothered me. I mothered myself. I jump around from topic to topic. I have really bad teeth, and that's a story for another day. If that grosses you out or whatever, deal with it. I'm trying to tell my story. You want to know why I got yuck mouth? Then stick around. Okay, so I'm psychic. I'm spiritual. I'm also a Christian. I am many things at one time. I'm single, but still married. I have been going through a spiritual journey, which I hate the term, but it's representative of what I've been going through. And I have been doing a lot of inner child work, but recently I've realized within the last year that I'm out of my inner child work and I've been dealing with my inner teen. Nobody really talks about that a lot, or I haven't found any information. I'm a teenager again. I'm listening to Twilight to go to sleep. I'm sitting in my room and just drawing. I'm drawing. I'm living with my dad, my 81-year-old dad, and I'm rebelling against him. F you, Dad. I never got to be a teenager. If you see my face twitching, it just does that. I don't know why. It's been happening for years, so it's not anything that's going to kill me, I guess. I deal with it. Okay, so I never got to be a teenager. I had a lot of crap happen to me. And I'm sharing this so that I can help other people. I want to help other people. Do you have depression? Do you have anxiety? Are you addicted to things? Well, so did I. And I have cured myself. And Jim Carrey in The Color Purple were the key for me. I'm trying to share that so you can find your own Jim Carrey in Color Purple. Maybe I'm your Jim Carrey. Hello, I'm Jim Carrey. No, I'm not. I'm not Jim Carrey. Although my dad wanted to name me Carrie, and everybody hates my name. And I don't care. Suck it. If you're mean to Karens, or you said something mean about a Karen, or you use that as a derogatory term, suck it. You have hurt my feelings, and it's not okay to do that. I've had a hard life. Be nice. Or be gone. Okay, now that that's over, I'm going to eat a candy, which is a treat for me because I'm diabetic. But I'm going to do it because it's Mother's Day, and I'm in my bed in the middle of the day in my jammies. I have set the stage for my pity party. And God's not with it. God said you may not be pitiful today. Got a gummy ring. And cherries. And a cola bottle. And a little bitty bear. Look at that little bear. Okay, sorry. I have ADHD. And I'm avoiding talking about this. I'm doing this because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not the only person who's had a hard life. I know I'm not the only woman who has been slut-shamed for things that had nothing to do with her. I'm speaking out for victims of all the violences, all the BS, from the beginning of time. And I've tried to make videos before, but I think that God is guiding me to make this video at this time in these jammies with my pity party braid. I was going to sit here and cry all day. Because it's Mother's Day. I got all the mothers and don't have any mother. Never had a mother. I have given up. The only thing I ever wanted to do in life was have a mother. Probably, or to be a mother, because I didn't have a mother. And my daughter probably won't even call me today. She hasn't talked to me since she kicked me out about a year ago. And I don't want to share that. That hurts. But at the same time, I'm dealing with the fact that my mother ghosted me, my real mother. She ghosted me right as I started my healing journey. Well, as I started my spiritual journey, my mother ghosted me. She did. She did. And I've worked through that through these intervening years. And that was 2019, at the end of 2019, right before, the world went to shit. Right as I was healing, and I asked her permission to include her story within my story, that I was trying to tell my truth. And I was figuring it out. And she gave me permission to share her story, but then stopped answering the phone and stopped answering texts. And she never contacted me again. But you know what? That's okay, because I grew up without her. And I spent my life searching for her, and my teen years when I was homeless, going to find her, and I found her, and she did nothing but run away from me. She did nothing but leave me with family members. She didn't want to be my mom. She's in contact with my older brother. It's one of those boy things. She was in contact with my brother after I forced him to contact her. Anyways, she talks to him every day. She's gone to see his house, but she's never met my grandchildren, or she never saw my house when I had it. And you got to pass my house to get to his. I don't have a house anymore. I walked away from my house. I walked away from my marriage because I was being abused. But I'm not mad at, well, I'm dealing with that because I love and respect him. But I have been abused by him. And I believe that I've probably abused him too. Oh, just got a text from my daughter. Happy Mother's Day. So there's that. I'm trying to explain that, thank you, God, for that. I'm trying to explain that I made my whole identity being a mother and a wife without any idea of what that really was. Happy days, just what I had consumed, because that's what raised me, was the television, movies. And I was deeply broken. And I'm not anymore. Well, see, I have this thing where I'll say something, but then I take it back. Is that yo? I waffle. I'm up and down, up and down, up and down, because I see things from both sides. So let me go back. I had a really hard life, and some very bad things happened to me that compounded the neglect and abuse that was in my home. And these were major tragic events that gave me anxiety and fear, and I had an undiagnosed learning disability, and so school was hard, and I was never talked to as a child, or read to, or played with, or nobody ate with us. It was just neglect. It was isolation. And it's hard to decipher that. It's hard, and especially because everybody wants to act like I'm the one with the problem, because I'm the one that's been trying to deal with this major trauma. I'm going to abbreviate some things, and I'll probably make more videos later, but just so you know, I had bad things happen to me. My family looked at me like it was my fault. And I was a child. I was a baby. I was 8 and then 12 years old. And then I was thrown out at 14 years old. And this isn't a trauma dump. This is just trying to let you know why I hate the color purple, but now I love it. So I was homeless for a lot of years and a lot of bad things happened to me. And then I met my husband. And he had a lot of abuse happen to him. And so he was trying to figure, and he didn't have a dad. So he was trying to figure out how to be a man. And I was trying to figure out how to be a woman, how to be adults, how to be a man and a wife. And the only advice we ever got was pray it away, or all these religious things. I'm doing a poor job of explaining this. We struggled. All I wanted to be was a wife and a mother. And he said that he wanted kids. It took 4 years for me to become pregnant. And as soon as I became pregnant, he turned into a different person. And he had lied about wanting children. He thought that he couldn't have children because of an abuse that had happened to him when he was a child. He thought that he was incapable of fathering a child. And so he believed that I had cheated on him. And in his mind, I had been assaulted while he was away on cruise, which is where cruise is when you're in the Navy and the service member goes out to sea, and they call it a cruise. And they go for varying lengths of time. And I think that the different lengths are called different things, but cruise, in my experience, has been about six months. So he was gone 6 months or more. And when he came back, we had been married for 4 years. And I was healed. I prayed and I manifested healing within myself. And God healed me. I know that sounds crazy, but it happened. And I got pregnant with my daughter. He turned into a different person. And all these things happened. And I only bring this up because the only kindness he really did the whole time I was pregnant, he never rubbed my feet or gave me any extra consideration. If anything, he was harder on me. He made me walk miles to get what I wanted or craved. And he swore up and down that I was going to have a son. And I was carrying his son, and he wasn't going to pamper me because it would make his son weak. And when I told him that was bullshit, he told me I knew nothing about black men. This has been a theme through our marriage, is that I'm not black, so I don't know. I don't know the ways of the world. And I know it sounds stupid that I would fall for that, but didn't have YouTube or TikTok or any of these things where women share awareness. And I had no mother. I had no community. Nobody gave a crap about me. Anyways, I didn't know any better. And I should have left then, but I didn't know. Anyways, when I don't know why I can't just be concise. The only kindness he ever did was when I gave birth, he brought me flowers. And I was happy about the flowers, but at the same time, I hated the flowers. They were purple. And I have detested the color purple for a long time. So it was just a glaring reminder to me that, and he used the last of our money to buy these flowers, and they were purple. And I didn't know that I needed pads after I had a baby. I didn't know. I had a little shoebox with one little onesie. I didn't have any diapers. I didn't. And the real messed up thing is that all my friends, the military wives that I knew on the base, they never told me. They all saw my little box with one little outfit, and I didn't even know I was going to have a girl. I just had one little girl outfit and a onesie. I'm 21 years old. This is in 1990. I didn't know what I needed. I had never even babysit a little baby like that. I was homeless. I was navigating life in crack houses and staying away from predators. But none of the women who were mothers told me that I would need pads or that I needed more clothes than that or any of these things. And my stepmother and my younger sister came and stayed with me for a month because I was bedridden, because of stress, because of something he had done, which is a big story, and I'm not going to go into it. Well, I can kind of go into it. I'm going to go into it. So I'm hugely pregnant, and my husband's friends decide that they're going to kidnap him and teach him the ways of the world. So we were on an island called Whidbey Island in Washington, and you have to drive pretty far if you want something that's not on the island, obviously, or take a ferry. And we were having a barbecue. My friend was having a barbecue at their house, and the guys in the middle of the barbecue, the husbands decided they were going to run off the island to go get some kind of workout vitamin or something, and they'd be right back. So that meant that they would be gone for an hour or two, which was fine. My friend and I, we could play cards and, watch the kids. I didn't have a kid, but she had kids. And I was pregnant. What ended up happening is they never came back after those couple hours. They were missing, and I was freaking out. And we finally get a call that they had had a car accident in Canada. And I'm not going to tell the whole story. It's just, I had a shock. And when he came back and he made it home from this car accident in another country, he had totally changed. He had already been a jerk to me for being pregnant. And we had been married for 4 years at this time, so I didn't understand what was going on. And he totally turned on me in that moment. And what had happened was the guys had decided that they were going to teach him how to be a man, and they were going to take him to Canada to a club so that he could cheat on me, because they told him that that's what guys did. And that he was, how many minutes is this? 24 minutes. And then he was pussy whipped with me because he didn't have a girl on the side. And so he ends up getting into a fist fight with the guy who was driving the car, who was like 3 feet taller than him and just a jerk. Long story short, he believed what they were saying because they had him trapped in the car. They were all drinking and breaking the law. The guy's car they were in, he wasn't even supposed to have that car. He had borrowed his girlfriend's car and said he would be right back. She was on duty and had a severely asthmatic baby that needed constant monitoring because the baby needed breathing treatments if something popped off. This dude stole her car, made it impossible for her to show up for duty. She had no child care because he was supposed to be watching said baby. And she ended up living right behind us, but we didn't know her. He totaled her car. He did it on purpose. They were totally drunk, barreling down the highway. He has his hand on the wheel. He looks back at my husband, and he jerks the wheel, going over 100 miles an hour. Husband said they rolled like 4 times. As soon as he started rolling, he came out of the back window, straight up. His shoes were left in the vehicle. The seatbelt didn't hold him. It gave him a lemon-sized contusion internally. He ended up flying over the highway and landing in soft mud, which is best case scenario. He said he felt like his father, who had died when he was a year old in a car accident and was also in the Navy. He said he felt somebody grab him and pick him up out of this car, straight up. Anyways, he landed on his freaking head. In the mud. He said he could remember the suction sound of him extracting his head from the mud. He had a gash on his leg. He was beat up. The other guys, the guy driving, nothing happened to him. I think he hit the steering wheel. The guy in the passenger side didn't hurt himself in the accident, but hurt himself getting out of the car and got glass in his knee. They ended up, their outfits were messed up. They ended up abandoning the vehicle, hitchhiking, making their way to downtown where they knew the other Navy guys were, pulling together from all of their clothes a serviceable outfit. One of them went into the club, found some girls, and the girls, supposedly they were strange girls. The girls took them to the hospital. So the guy in the passenger side, when they were in the hospital, he called his wife and said that they had been in an accident, left on the answering machine or something. I forget. She was playing it over and over again, so it had to have been on the answering machine. And said what hospital they were at and that there had been an accident. So the only person who had a car out of the girlfriend with the baby and me and my friend was my husband had left his car, but it was a stick shift. Why am I telling this whole story? We got somebody, this other girl knew how to drive a stick, and we started driving up to Canada to get them. Oh, wait. We got to Canada. When we got to Canada, that's when we found out about the girls, because we went to the hospital. And the nurses and people were confused because they had a bunch of women with them who were taking care of them and were going to drive them home. We had passed them. So we had to drive back from Canada, show up at the house. My husband's pissed off that we took his car and drove it to Canada. I'm asking him, what the heck happened? You were supposed to go get vitamins, and now it's like the next day, and who the F are these women? that picked you up and brought you all the way back into this country. How come you didn't call me and what the F? And then he told me that the guy, he told me what happened about him looking and turning and all this. And guess who shows up at my back door? The guy who just almost tried to kill my husband. So, I'm looking for a knife or a bat. And I'm cussing him out. I answer the door and I just let him have it. And I'm hugely pregnant. And I'm ready to gank him. I'm seriously like, you almost took out the father of my child, my husband. I gotta cut you. Those are the rules, right? Come over here and beg my forgiveness. Had I not been waddling, I probably would have taken his life. I was out of my mind. And probably the biggest shock was my husband turning on me and screaming and yelling at me to get away from his friend. He defended him. And that he was going to send me back to California. He was going to send me away. He was sending me back to California to my family because he didn't want me anymore. And I think I lost my mind. I think I lost my mind. I was so upset. I was out of my mind. And I just started throwing things. And I was throwing giant ashtrays and stuff at him. I was trying to kill him. I finally locked myself in the room because I just felt like I wasn't in control of myself and I was scared for my baby. And not long after, I went into like labor. And there had been a problem with my pregnancy in the fact that they thought that that my daughter had spinal bifida. Well, they didn't tell me it was a daughter. They didn't tell me the sex. And they wouldn't let me have like sonograms or anything like that. They did finally let me have one of like her face. But my doctors didn't let me have it. The attendant let me have it. But I had to keep going to an army base for them to see my baby because they said that they said the baby had spinal bifida. And that means that there's an opening to the spine, and they said that the baby would probably not live. And I had known that for 4 or 5 months. Nobody cared. Nobody helped me. Nobody talked to me. It was like a thing. I constantly had to go get these scans, but my husband didn't go to any of the baby appointments. He never went to one scan. He was checked out. So I calmed down. And then I started having contractions, and then they put me on some medication in bed rest for a month. And my stepmother came with my baby sister and stayed for a month, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But I'm also just confused because she knew that I didn't have anything for my baby. She knew that I was so ill-prepared. And she stayed there for a month. She bought me a fan. And I'm not saying that they should have decked me out or anything, but somebody should have said, hey, you know, you're going to need... And all the women I knew, they had children. And nobody helped me. Nobody... Why am I talking about this? I think I'm trying to illustrate the help that I received from other women, the community that I received from other women, which was none. None. And therefore, I've realized that I've never had friends. I'm going to erase this. This is just me. Droning on. It's the color purple. So, I didn't know I needed pads. I didn't have anything. She didn't have diapers. She didn't have clothes. I had to bring it back to why I'm mentioning this. And all I had was this bouquet of purple flowers. They were a milky, like a dusky, milky lavender. I had never seen the color before, and they were striking, but at the same time, I was panicking because I was ill prepared, and I was trying to keep this child alive. But God will provide. And the girlfriend that I didn't know, I don't know how she knew. I think that they were probably gossiping about it, that I didn't have anything for the baby. I didn't have anything for my daughter. I think that they were talking crap about it, and she was present. And she heard that. And she went home, and she got a bassinet that she had. Her baby was, I think, 18 months or so. And she gathered together all the things that she had for a newborn. And she wheeled it across the alleyway behind our houses. I'd never met her before. I'm so grateful. The same guy that was her boyfriend, we had a storm on the island, and my daughter was, I don't know, she wasn't even 2 months old, and we had a waterbed that if you lose electricity on a waterbed, it was a snowstorm. It was huge, and the electricity had been out for a couple days, and we were cold, and we couldn't sleep in the bed. That was the only real furniture that we had, was the bed, and it was a waterbed, and so it was frozen. I mean, not literally frozen, but it was super cold. And the friend, to heat us up, he said he was going to do us a favor, and he brought over a barbecue. And he and my husband struggled for over 2 hours to light this barbecue inside the house. And it wouldn't light. It wouldn't light, it wouldn't light, it wouldn't light. And it wasn't a charcoal barbecue, it was like a gas barbecue. And right as they got it lit, literally, the power came back on. And only years later did I realize that I had a cousin that actually committed suicide by lighting a barbecue in their bedroom. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I was not thinking straight. So this guy, not only did he try to take out my husband, in the accident and kidnapped him and tried to get him to go cheat on me. But he tried to kill us all, or at least my child, because, you know, it's the smallest and the oldest that go first. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the color purple has been a problem of mine for a long time, but it's also a huge key. I'm telling you about the birth of my child, which made me a mother, and some of the crap that I had to go through when I became a mother. I thought I was doing the best I could. I was a traditional stay-at-home wife. I fought to stay with my child. I raised her. I put up with all my husband's BS because back in the day, it was like you have to have a father in a home, and that's what's important. And I had generational trauma because my mother wasn't there. And I always felt that she didn't try hard enough. Had she tried hard enough, had she just stayed, I'd at least had my mom. And so that's what I did. The whole world thought I was this raging whore because I had been raped or molested as a child. And so I was working off that deficit with my husband. A family member of his raped me while he was gone on cruise. And I had to beg my husband to not handle that. And it set this dynamic in our relationship where even though the rape from his family member happened 4 years before the birth, it happened like 6 months into our marriage. Not even 6 months. My husband left for cruise 3 days after we were married. He sent me back to California, and I was raped in his house, his mother's house, by the person that he told to watch out over me. I had the flu. I had a horrible flu and was vulnerable. And he raped me. And then I left that house and I was living on the streets because I had nowhere to go. And it set this dynamic within my relationship where I was constantly accused of cheating. He never believed that our daughter was his, even after he had her DNA tested when she was 8 years old. And he swore up and down that it came out positive because of the lineage of the person who raped me. But that had happened 4 years. There was like no, and we were 2 states away on an island. Literally impossible. But when you can't talk sense to a crazy person. And I was constantly, I'm learning now that there's this thing called fawning. And I'm learning that there's fight or flight instincts, but freeze, flight, or fight. And there's also fawning, which means that when there's a dangerous situation, you kind of cuddle up to that person because there might be safety there. So I would just double down on praying. I would just try to explain to him. I spent decades placating him. I spent decades trying to prove that I wasn't bad, that I wasn't a slut, that I wasn't all of these things. I had no support. I had no education. I didn't have friends. And my family, everybody that I knew, his family hated me because I was white, and I was this white girl with the worst reputation. My family hated me because my stepmother hated me, and she developed this narrative in my family that it was triangulation, and my father was checked out. And I believe I'm trying to explain why my daughter doesn't talk to me anymore. There really is no excuse. I'm just trying to say what happened. And when she first kicked me out and she first rejected me, I felt akin to when my husband first shattered our lives, our marriage. It felt the same way. The only place I had to flee was to my father. And I hadn't spoken to my dad really in 8 years because of a lifetime of trauma. But I had spent 3 years sitting on my butt, figuring out how to leave a husband, how to just hang in there and heal with no help but YouTube. And my faith in God. Why do we believe in what we believe? How did I get here? Why did I believe that I wasn't the things that everybody was saying I was? Why do you believe what you believe? It's 46 minutes. Let me try to. The huge boom. Oh, okay. It's my daddy's back. Sorry. So, the lessons I've learned are a lot. The story is very long. The trauma is very long. And I've been trying to decipher how to tell this, how to tell how I found myself and how long I spent in deadly depression and just dysfunction, and how to realize that I wasn't the great mother or the great wife that I thought I was, and how to deal with that. How to deal with sucking at something that you have dedicated your life to. How to deal with a failed marriage that you walked away from. It's something that you have spent 38 years trying to just piece together and make it work. And everybody thinks you're a villain now because you walked away from it. Because you said, this isn't right. The way I'm being treated isn't right. And I need to heal. And let's heal together. And then that person, your husband, says no. How to leave somebody that you love, that you have ignored all of these things, and the guilt of that, the shame, and then have everybody in your life just stop answering the phone, or just label you as a problem, that you're menopausal and you're going crazy. And then they label you as the devil because not only now you're not a Christian, just a Christian, now you're into this spirituality and tarot cards, and they just all think that I've lost my mind because I stopped playing the game in the role that they have put me, Doja Cat says, I know you're not proud of this, bitch. You still have time to change the view they assigned you with. That's another thing. Doja Cat has really helped me. I don't know Doja Cat, but her music, her Scarlet, has really helped me. I resonate with that. People vilifying you and saying you're of the devil when you're actually, I'm doing God's work. Trying to focus. So I've had to heal this is what I'm trying to say. I spent all those years that I sat down in my home before I actually sold my home, as I was asking to be treated with loving kindness and for us to both to heal, and I just refused to be treated like crap anymore. The thing that sparked this was a YouTube short. This healing was a YouTube short. It was a YouTube short of Jim Carrey, and he was saying that depression is just your avatar not liking a fucking construct that you've made of it. And that clicked in my head. And then I sat around and I was like, you can't change what's been done to you. I couldn't change what had been done to me. I couldn't change the things that had given me depression. But the only thing that I could change was harming myself. And I was a huge chain smoker. Huge chain smoker. I smoked 3 packs, plus I would wake up in the middle of the night and have like 2 cigarettes. And I had been a chain smoker to the 3 pack a day level for, I don't know, a good decade. And I was so addicted. It ruled everything in my life. My grandson wanted to go to Disneyland, and we were the only 2 people in our family that hadn't gone. My husband said that he was going to take me for our honeymoon, and then it just became, oh, we can go, but we never went. And then my daughter went with her fiance and took her daughter. So everybody had gone, but my grandson was a baby, so he didn't go, and I had never been. And so I helped raise my grandkids. So I called myself a granny nanny. And so my grandson and I would spend a lot of time on YouTube looking at all the tours and the content for Disneyland. And he loved it. And he wanted to go. And he used to always encourage me. At the time, there was a Chantix commercial with the turkey. And he would say, just be like the turkey. And, you know, he was 4. He wanted me to quit. And I knew I couldn't afford smoking, and I needed a carton of cigarettes every 4 days. And there was this sick dynamic between my husband and I where I would have to go to him and ask him for money every 4 days because I didn't have a bank account or any source of income. And he knew that I needed these cigarettes, but he would make me come to him so that he could just express how much he hated paying for these cigarettes. It was a power struggle. And I hated it. So I quit smoking. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done, I think. One of the hardest things. It was very hard. And I had to do it cold turkey. And I didn't have any help. But I had been addicted to opioids on a small level. I wasn't addicted for long. I had a friend that I had injured myself at work, and because of my teeth and because of just the way workman's comp works, I've always had to fight for any kind of medication. So I wasn't adequately medicated, and I had 4 slipped discs. And I ended up with scar tissue on my spinal column, keloid scars. They were too tiny for them to warrant surgery, but just big enough to make my life miserable, especially when I sleep. Anyways, I had a friend that started giving me some opioid medication whenever we were around, and she was just handing this stuff out, and so I was taking it until she just decided, after I had been taking it probably for 6 to 9 months, she was giving it to me. And I was only taking like maybe 1 or 2 Vicodin a day, but I was dependent on it, and I didn't know I was. And I'm really sensitive to medication, so I couldn't even take a whole Vicodin at a time. I was taking like a half of them. So that would mean like 4 times a day I was taking half a Vicodin to get through the pain. And sometimes she would give me morphine, in these morphine pills that she had. And I would just take little slivers of that for my pain, mostly when I was sleeping. But when she all of a sudden said she couldn't give them to me anymore, or she wouldn't give them to me anymore, I went into withdrawal. And it was hard. It was hard dealing with that. That was hard. And I used Jesus to get through that. And I knew then, when I was having nicotine fits, that if I could withdraw myself through opioids, and I know that maybe 2 Vicodin a day doesn't sound like a big habit, but my system thought it was a huge habit. And it was hard. If I could do that with no guidance, it was like I had already had experience withdrawing from something. So I just kept letting it go and letting it go. My leg's falling asleep. I hope you're still here. It's 57 minutes. I'm trying to find a way to tell you what I've been through, and it's hard, so please forgive me. So, I did that. And I fought through it. And during all that was COVID. And my daughter moved in. She was dating this guy, and then they got married. And he moved in with us. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but purple comes into play again and again. So I have this big house, 6-bedroom, 4-bath house, pool, jacuzzi, built-in barbecue, all these things. And I'm freaking out. It had been about 8 months since I quit smoking, and I was still having daily horrible nicotine fits. Horrible. I was going through menopause. My husband had hurt his shoulder, and so we had been working with him being out of work, home all the time. And I had been dealing with the realization that he never once rubbed my back or asked me if I was okay for my back injury, that I suffered chronic pain constantly. And everybody always treated me like I was faking, because I would push myself and I wasn't laying there miserable. And because the doctors didn't believe me, regardless of all the tests that they did that showed that I was injured, I'm never believed. And so I was dealing with him being a baby. And not that he wasn't legitimately injured, he was, but it was constantly like rub my back and do this and do that, and just this emotional weight, because he doesn't do well when he's out of work. And he's crazy. And he's insanely jealous. And we moved this man into the house, and my daughter didn't tell him that I had been assaulted in the worst way in a home setting by a family member, and I didn't feel safe. Not that I felt like he was a harm to me or would harm me in any way. I didn't feel like that about him. I didn't feel threatened by him. But he would walk around like he was a ninja, and he would just pop up in places, and he was always watching. He was always... He was dissecting the dynamics, and he would make comments about me not cleaning or all these like things. And she never shared with him that, like, hey, my dad is... And so I was on constant eggshells. I was on constant alert. And then I have to start teaching school for my grandkids. And I freaked out because I didn't have an education and I had such a hard time at school. And I didn't want my grandson's first year of kindergarten to be messed up. I knew how important school is for him. And it was so important to me that I did not feel capable of doing it. But there was nobody else. And my daughter's room was the second master bedroom, and it was in front of the house. It was over our garage in front of the house, and it was the first kind of thing that you would see when you look at our house. It's just stuck out there. And she went and she bought purple curtains for her room. And we're barely making it, and they bought a fancy giant bed with a motorized thing and an 80-inch television for their room and all this stuff. And my daughter never paid rent. She never bought food. Everything was cared for. I watched her kids. Not all the time. Sometimes she put them in daycare and stuff, but I just felt I didn't want to rain on their parade and be like, why are you guys buying this? And I was trying not to butt in, but at the same time, I just felt the pressure building because I didn't want my husband to attack them in any way and then ruin our family and hurt our grandkids. My life had become protecting my grandchildren from the unpredictable abuse of my husband. And it's not that he didn't love our grandkids. It's not that he didn't love our daughter, but he would say things like, I was under a lot of stress. The day that she came home with those curtains and she put them up, I just was so triggered. I was so triggered. And they were the same dusty purple as the roses that he bought me when I had her. And I had to lock myself in my bedroom and sink on the floor and just melt down. I didn't want to accuse her of doing it on purpose, but she knew I detested the color purple. She knew because she had tried to hang colored shears up in her room when it was just her room or the baby's rooms. They all had their own rooms. And I had said no. Because I wanted it to be uniformly. I had a gray house with these burgundy pews, kind of like the color behind me, shutters around it in white trim. You put fucking purple curtains in one part of it. It's just tacky. Anyways, it wasn't what I wanted for the outside of my house. It's not how I wanted people to perceive my house. And at the same time, I don't think that she did it on purpose. And so I didn't want to scream and yell at her, I didn't want to yell at her. I didn't want to attack her. I didn't want to scream at her in front of my grandkids and her husband. And I just had the biggest nicotine fit, and I hid in my room on the floor, and I just bawled quietly trying to gain some control. And I finally said, what the F is it about purple that is so offensive to you? Besides the aesthetics, besides this is my house kind of attitude, you know what I mean? Besides all that, why are you so wounded about this? What is it about purple that you hate so much, that is so triggering for you, that has triggered this huge nicotine fit? And I had to sit down, and it finally came to me, and there were two things. Two huge things. The first was when I was about 16. I was homeless. I had a job, and I worked with a girl who her family let me stay with her. And she wasn't nice to me. Her parents were very nice to me, though. Excuse me. Her parents were nice to me, but she wasn't very nice to me. But just to be plain and honest, I was better looking than her, and all the guys would flock to us, and she reaped the rewards of that. She had a boyfriend that was in jail that happened to be right next to our neighborhood, and she wouldn't allow me to be at her house while she wasn't there, so I kind of had to go everywhere with her. She didn't want to leave me alone there. And so I went with her. She knew that I only had a check cashing ID. She knew I wasn't going to be able to get in to visit. She said, "Oh yeah, I want you to meet my boyfriend." And so we went, and I ended up sitting in some waiting area, and I couldn't get in. The guy at the desk, the officer at the desk, he just was chatting me up, and he had checked my ID. He knew exactly how old I was, and we had discussed it, and he asked me out on a date. He was a good-looking guy, probably in his mid-30s, and I said, okay. And hold on. Yeah, Dad? Thank you.
No food.
They didn't have food?
Oh, yeah, place was almost empty.
Okay.
Didn't even see anybody there.
Oh, well, it's going to rain.
Went up the mountain, and stopping at the store. That was the only diet
Well, thank you.
drink they had.
What the heck? Oh, they have names on them. Okay.
Yeah, I understand
that. It's like a collector's item, I guess. Coca-Cola does. Braden. I got a Coke named Braden. They have names. I bet you they don't make Karen Cokes.
Braden is your grandmother's maiden name.
You're kidding. Nope. I never knew that. Mrs. Which grandmother?
Mrs. Hageman.
You're right. But it wasn't spelled like this. You're so right.
Yeah, no, that's what's her name.
Right. Okay. I'm making a video.
You what?
I'm in the middle of making a video.
You're doing what?
I'm making a video.
Oh.
I'm videotaping.
You're videotaping right now?
Yes.
Okay.
You're on video. Well, they can't see you, but here.
Okay. Anyway, so we haven't had anything to eat. So.
Okay, well.
We're going to do much watching 310 to Human.
Okay. My vote is for pizza.
Maybe.
That's my vote. Thank you for the Coke, though, Dad.
Drive all the way over the mountain to do it.
Well, you don't have to. We don't have anything to frost it. I don't know what we would eat if we don't get something out.
You throw out some pork chops, but Pizza's not a bad idea. Mike doesn't like their pizza. I do.
I do too. I love it.
But he's gonna eat frozen stuff anyways.
It's Mother's Day. I get to pick.
Okay. That's true.
I like pizza.
Okay.
And maybe mozzarella sticks. He likes that. See if he wants some mozzarella sticks if they have it.
Right. Go upstairs for a little.
Okay.
Make a couple phone calls.
All right.
And if you want, we can. You feel like going for a drive?
I can see how I feel when you see how you feel. Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay. Well, I agree. Pizza probably would be good.
Yeah, pizza sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Dad. Sorry. He's all telling you my grandmother's maiden name. Don't hack me. Anyways, I'm healing all that generational trauma. What was I saying? Oh, so I was homeless and staying with this friend of me, and went out on a date with the police officer. He came and picked me up, and he took me to a mall, and we just looked around the mall and had a fun date. He bought me a bunch of little things and some big things, and it was just fun. I'd never had a guy buy me anything, and it wasn't that I wanted. I wasn't asking him for stuff. He was the one suggesting, oh, here, try this perfume. Or, he bought me a puzzle with a cat hanging on it, hanging there. It was like little things and then big things. He bought me some shoes and a few articles of clothing. And then we went to Sizzler, and he kept ordering wine, and he kept giving me the wine. And I was drunk. I was so drunk on this nasty white wine. And we were going to go out supposedly dancing after he changed. He wanted to change into something. And he said that he had gotten a hotel room on Main Street. And so we drove there. And then he told me to come inside, but and to bring the stuff with me, the bags of clothing. And I thought, oh, he's a cop. He knows that this is probably not a good neighborhood, and it's for my safety. And I trusted him. And so I went in there. And when I went in there, trigger warning. When I went in there, he had taken off this blazer he had on and was reclining on the bed, and had taken a gun and had it on the nightstand. And he put his hand on the gun. And I said, aren't you going to change? I thought we were going somewhere else. And he said, nope, we're not going anywhere else. And I said, okay, well, take me home. And he said, nope, why don't you go try on that stuff that I just bought you? And I said, I don't really want to do that. And he just kind of moved the gun to go try it on. And so I did. And what he had bought me, and at the time, Madonna had made corsets and outer, like, intimate wear, streetwear. And so I didn't think anything of this purple corset that he had bought me, and these purple stilettos. He had bought me these things, but they were purchased along with innocent things, and I complied. And then I complied with everything he had me do because he had a gun. And he never took his hand off the gun. And then in the morning, I laid there all night just silently. And in the morning, I pretended like I was asleep as he left. And as I called my friend, the one that hated me anyways, to come and pick me up, and dealt with her acting like I was some whore, he had left money. That's a huge part of this. He had left money. He had left like $50. This was, I think, like 1985. In 1985, $50 was a lot of money. And I just didn't understand. I felt so much shame and guilt about that. I had internalized that for so many years. I thought that he was a police officer and he knew a horror when he saw it. He knew, because on TV, the cops always on TV had instincts. They knew. And then it was just, I felt like he had paid me. Like he thought I was a prostitute. He thought I was a whore, which is what everybody was always saying I was, which is what my reputation was, because I had been lured and raped by a group of men when I was a child. And they put out a rumor that they had pulled the train on me and that I loved it. And everybody believed it, including my family. And that reputation followed me. That reputation has followed me my whole life. I had to sit there on that floor, freaking him about purple curtains, having the hugest nicotine fit. And I had to hold myself and parent myself. I had to be a grandmother to that little girl inside of me and let her know that that wasn't her fault. That wasn't her fault. That money had nothing to do with me. That was something within him. He probably knew that he had done something really wrong. And in his mind, he was compensating me. He ended up pursuing me. I had to move. I had to move. I had to move to Sacramento to get away from him. He professed his undying love and was crying and stuff. And just this cop, this grown cop. Oh, another thing he told me when I asked him what the gun was for, he said it was because he was married and had 3 kids and his wife was crazy. And she might show up. And I freaked out. I would never date a married man. I would never date a married man. And I felt even dirtier. I felt like I had helped commit adultery, that I had slept with somebody's husband, and he was a cop, and I felt so messed up. So I was able to work it out. I was able to calm myself down. I was able to see as an adult. I was able to untangle something that had been eating at me for decades that I didn't want to examine because I had internalized so much guilt. And that was coming out in my hatred of the color purple. Not the book or the movie. I love the movie and the book. And then there's another tragic story that comes with purple, but it involves other people that I can't speak for that were innocent. And I don't think I'm ready, but it involved an amethyst ring. And amethyst is purple. And before I had the meltdown, before I had a migraine, before my daughter came home with those curtains, and I had been using peppermint oil on my head, and it had soaked into my scalp, and it helped my migraine. The next day, I had developed a spiritual bathing practice. Part of my depression was not bathing or taking care of, as you can see from my teeth, taking care of my hygiene or anything. I was just rotting. And with my healing and quitting smoking, I made sure that I showered every day and that I loved on myself. And I was, doing everything that I could to not hurt myself. When I got in the shower the next day, the water hit my head. And this was the first time that I had used the peppermint for my migraines. The water hit my head, and the shower just exploded with the scent of peppermint. And it brought me back to the success that I had had in the breakthrough and figuring out what had triggered that attack. And I was so proud of myself. I was just crying in the shower, just with pride. I had never felt so good. I felt like I had actually made a stride. I felt like I had actually figured something out, and I had actually helped myself. And I made a promise to myself that no matter what, every day, nicotine fit or no nicotine fit, that I would fight each and every fit with peppermint. And I would seal the success. I would sit down every time I had a nicotine fit, and I would try to figure out what had triggered me, what had upset me, what had caused this nicotine fit, because I knew that the nicotine had exited my system, that there's no reason that I should have been having nicotine fits 8 months later. So it wasn't physical. And that's what I did every day. I called it building a bridge to success with peppermint and showers. And I knew while I was having a nicotine fit during the day, or anytime I faced something that was overwhelming, I tried to keep peppermint on me. With breath spray, mints. Once I ran out of the little peppermint oil rollers, chapstick, peppermint chapstick. This is actually coconut, but you know what I mean. I sealed each success with peppermint. And then in the shower, I would recount that success. I would go back over what I had learned. I wouldn't dwell on it. I wasn't stacking them up. I was processing them and then releasing them in the shower. And it gave me a solid foundation to stand on when I was having a fit. and I was going through it. It gave me the strength, and it built faith. I had faith. You know, when you're a mom and you're struggling, you don't have a lot of money, and you're a Christian, you know that God's going to make a way. That's a thing that we say. God will make a way out of no way. And it was the same thing. It was building faith. That's not attractive. I was building faith. I already had faith, but I was building faith in myself and my ability to decipher this. And I felt like it was a direct link to God. I felt like God was sending these fits, and Spirit was sending these fits, things that I needed to see. And during the same time, let me finish saying this. So I would have a nicotine fit, or I would have a fit, or something would come up that really triggered me. And I would do what I started calling tracing the triggers. And so when I got a trigger, it became that I got excited because I knew that I was going to be making progress. I'm triggered, then that means that there's something that I need to examine. And it really helped me. And then I had art. And art helped me. And God showed me how to make a timeline of my life. And because I had been gaslit and I have a problem sometimes with memory, I had been repeating all of these traumatic instances from my childhood. And God showed me to make a timeline of my life. And at each area in my life that something happened, to make a tick and then find a way to express that. I can show you. I was just doing it. So I had been working on my childhood while I was doing this. I keep it in here. I don't have to remember it anymore. I have it all right here. And this isn't all of it, but this is the major traumas about what happened to me before I was a teenager and stuff. And my dad is an artist, and so I was always really intimidated to do art because I didn't feel like I was any good at it. And so the pictures are very small because I just used an index card size, and then I contained it, and then just a little blurb about the situation. And the challenge is how do I convey what happened to me so that somebody would understand it? Because nobody ever understood. Nobody ever heard me or understood me. So if I was trying to relate this to a stranger, that was the challenge, is to do that. And I used a multi-pen, one of those pens, in a scented multi-pen. I think I have it. Oh, here. I used this multi-pen from the dollar store. And the different colors have scents. And it doesn't work. Sometimes I have to draw and push the thing down. Because it doesn't work right. It's from the dollar store. But I approached it by saying that, children can do art and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be anything you want, anything that will allow you to put the story down. To not let it go, but to commemorate it in a way that you don't have to carry it all the time with you. And I did. And this one, I'm going to show you the first one that I did. And it's traumatic. So this is the first one I did because this is the biggest one that was constantly torturing me. And I'm going to read it to you. I work also with music. And so this art has songs, sometimes a couple songs. And the only real criteria I use to choose the song is a song that I love, or a song that spoke to the situation, or a song that meant something. And I'm not doing the whole trauma, all of it. I'm just doing this to illustrate what I was going through at the time. Okay, so the title of this is called Fuck the Pigs. This is the first piece of art that I did. And so I started doing art on 10/29/23. The song is Summer, the extended version by War, 1976. And because I've been gaslit, I'm not sure exactly what the year was that this happened. I was 7 or 8 years old. And had it not happened to a sibling and they remembered it and have been gaslit about it too, and we haven't had any contact for a long time, so I knew that we didn't make it up together. You know, it's not something that you can just do that. But it's so outlandish and so out there that people just don't believe it. But it happened. Hold on. Okay. The local best diver offered to teach my sister and I to swim after our swim lessons. We were happy to accept. He started touching us both in inappropriate ways. We told. The San Jose police said that we would have to testify. My father did not want that. They decided to put us back in the pool so they could witness our assault and arrest him. We did not want to go back. They made us. They started screaming while he had his fingers inside of me and arrested him. The whole neighborhood hated us. We got no help, no doctor, no counselor. No one talked to us. We were made to feel dirty. And this is a picture of all the things that all the boys were screaming and yelling at us at this busy swimming pool in San Jose. A top view. This goes with that, so I'm going to read it. This is titled, They Don't Recall. I was 7 or 8. The song for this is You Should Be Dancing by the Bee Gees, 1976. Wait a minute. There's a blurb about the song. It says, the last days of my innocence in love of summertime. That's why the song's Summer. This still affects me every night. I'm getting over it, but it's very hard. So bear with me. We didn't want to return to swim class because they had paid for it. We were made to go. We were even driven for the only time to ensure we didn't ditch. We had no interest in free swim, so we went to change and go. We were alone and naked when our molester entered and started screaming at my little sister. He didn't see me. I was behind a large washing fountain. The feeling of trying to rush to protect my sister and fighting to get wet clothes off and dry clothes on a wet, terrified body is the stuff of nightmares. Somehow we got out. No explanation of why he was not in jail was ever given to us. I've spent years terrified he was around every bend. They claim it never. And the reason why I chose We Should Be Dancing is because I distinctly remember as I was trying to pull these clothes on, trying to calculate how I was going to get her in her clothing and snatch her to protect her and get out of the place and avoid this guy. And in my mind, it was like the dance steps you used to see in movies, how they say, you know, go this way, go that way. And at the end, it says, Disco Super Sister Saver, Disco kicked that bastard's ass. And that's what I wanted to do. I wish that I could have karate chopped him and beat him up. So I think my point in sharing this art is because this goes up to right before my parents kicked me out at 14. And I've been struggling since I finished this with trying to find a way to document my teen years. And part of realizing part of that struggle has been realizing that I felt guilty for what happened to me when I was a teenager. I felt responsible for the things that grown men had done to me. And my family, even though they threw me out when I was 14 and I was a victim, I was just out there, they always spun it like I was running away, but I wasn't running away. And they spun it like I was guilty because they would say if they would allow me back to the house, they would say, you have 1 week to find a job. My stepmother would say, you have 1 week to find a job. And if you're not employed at the end of the week, then that's on you. That means you don't want to be here and you have to get the fuck out. And I would spend a week with no money, no anything, walking to businesses and interviewing and filling out applications. And I was a kid. I was 14, 15, 16 years old. This happened more than once. And the police officer grape, the date rape, happened at 16, but this in and out of trying to come back home to my parents' house happened for years. Why am I saying this? Oh, mothers. I would find my mother and my mother would leave me. I would be alone in the world and would try to come back to my father's house, and my stepmother would have to accept me back, but my dad I would never see him. He was never there, and my stepmother ruled the house, and she hated me. And I've forgiven her and I love her now. I am not trying to throw her under the bus or talk crap about her. It's just what happened. And anyways, I would beg the people I interviewed with to at least call the number so that my parents would know that I was interviewing, that I was trying. And even if you don't hire me, please let them know that I was here and that I interviewed. And, so I was trying to get them to not throw me out. And this happened over and over again. And they would throw me out. But who expects a little kid who doesn't have any education? The last grade I had graduated was 7th grade. I went to 8th grade at 3 different schools, but didn't graduate 8th grade because I went to 3 different schools. And my records in 9th grade never had a chance to catch up with me because they threw me out of the house because I had a African American friend. It's a lot. My life is a lot. I've had a lot to decipher. I've had a lot of bullshit to wade through. And I think what I'm trying to say, out of all of that, anyways, she always kept kicking me out. And I never understood why. Then I found out, I'm not going to go into that. Okay. Somebody was erasing the tapes. One of my siblings was erasing the tapes because they didn't want me back at the house. I found a note balled up with my name on it. And so you're going to read something if your name's on it. And it was a confession. All the crap they had done to me. And that was one of them. They were breaking into my parents' room and erasing the answering machine tape. So that I would be thrown out because they didn't want me there. But my dad blames me for burning bridges. And I've never done anything to any of these people. Okay. That's beside. See, I have a hard time. It just leads this way and this way and this way. And, I'm trying to explain purple. And there's a reason I'm trying to explain purple. because it was the key to my success. It was the key to me not just being aimlessly wandering in the wilderness of my pain. And I thought that healing was going to come once I stopped the cigarettes. But what I didn't realize is that, and this sounds whatever, but those nicotine fits were big X's on the treasure map of my life. And it said, dig here. Dig here. And the reason I mention the art is because then art, once those major nicotine fits were gone, I had to find healing in different things. And that little art where I couldn't draw has turned into me doing crazy art. This is something I just did last night. It's just, I like patterns. I love textiles and wallpaper and stuff. I love it. So I do that. Or I do crazy art. This is Pink Floyd's The Wall, but a clown. This is, what if Candyland was a real planet? This is the forest of Candyland. This is the strata. See it? And some of it doesn't mean anything, right? And some of it does. And I have a huge stack. I've been doing art nonstop. And I call it psychic art because I don't know, I don't set out to draw anything. It just kind of comes. And then the crazier it is, generally I look at it and it teaches me a lesson about something. These have become my nicotine fits. And God works with me through art and spirit, and I find meaning. And also I'm finding that I have searched to remember the tarot cards, and I have a hard time. And so God has given me these lessons, and a lot of these lessons are going to be tarot cards, whether for me or anybody else, I'm not sure. But when I'm reading tarot, it helps me to be able to look up my corresponding card or lesson and to extract further information. It's a language I'm creating a language with God. And you can too, is what I'm trying to say. It's not just my language. You don't have to follow my language. You need to find your own. So, this is a lot. Almost 2 hours. Gosh. I'm just going to continue because I'm trying to get this out and it's a lot. So it's going to be long. So in my art, I generally see a general image, a shape, and then I'll follow that shape. I just start drawing. And I can think I'm drawing one thing and it'll come out something else. It'll have a different meaning. And it exposes things within me that I need to examine. I need to heal, stuff that I really wasn't aware of. I have spent my life being persecuted because of my color and who I am. In Mexican neighborhoods, in Black families, in wherever. On the internet. It's just... Sometimes you need to understand things from a different perspective. I needed to realize that I had a prejudice. I'm getting dizzy. I'm holding my breath. I'm getting dizzy. I had a prejudice. And I do this creative thing with music. And I'm guided by different songs. And it's like a puzzle. There's this central song, and then these different characters have different songs, and I see images in a different story. It's not typically the story that you would think it would be. Right? It's a whole thing. I follow it. I love doing it. Nobody understands it. And I have since figured the purpose for it, but at the time I was doing this, I didn't really know the purpose of it. I didn't know what it was going to be. And I realized that I had an issue with German people because one of the songs in this story belongs to a major character, and I love the song, but when I found out that it was by a German band and that it was a cover song, I felt so much resistance internally that it triggered me, and I didn't know what the problem was. And so I spent months like loving this song. You can't not hear this song and be moved by it. And it is an arresting, shocking song. It's Tom's Diner by AMK, and I believe you pronounce the band's whole name is Annenmine Counterright, I think is what it is. And these guys are mind-blowing. They're like crazy good. And I had a real resistance in including them in this story. But most of the story hinges, I'm just going to say it, you're not going to understand what it means, but when doves cry and Tom's Diner, it sets the whole stage. It happens in Tom's Diner for this big thing that I was seeing. And so that's how I realized that there was a problem there. And then I didn't know why. And then I started getting an image, and I saw this. I saw the image of a mouth. And so I drew that. And then I saw the nose and the eye and the mouth. And I drew that. Specifically with this overdone makeup and stuff. And then I got this. There was so much makeup on that the eye was sliding sideways. The title of this is Ill. You're slipping. It's also the judgment card. And I sat and I looked at this for weeks. Like, what the hell is this? What is this? But it's kind of scary, right? So I sat and this is what I do with my art. I'll draw something and then I just look at it. And in not everything has deeper meaning, but most of it does. And the only real connection to the outside world I have is YouTube. And so I watch a lot of YouTube. And I had recently started watching, well, a couple months before doing this, I had started watching a YouTuber. She was a German. Well, I didn't really realize she was a German YouTuber. I knew she was European, but I didn't really know it was German. And then even when she said that, or when I knew that, it didn't really bother me that she was German. It wasn't until I noticed her tagline she has. Her tagline is very simple. It goes by like this, and it's trash. She says trash, and I see a garbage can, and it clicked. After the thing in that swimming pool, the whole community turned on us, right? And we really didn't have friends or anything like that, and our family was, we were mostly around my stepmother's family, and there wasn't any kids, so I didn't really have anybody to play with as a child a lot. And we were around our family, and some cousins had come from out of state, and we had a wonderful day. At the end of that wonderful day, when we were parting, we were really upset, and our cousin said she was upset, and she said, I can't believe Aunt such and such said that about you. I don't believe it. And I was like, what did she say? What do you mean? And she said you were trash. She said you kids were garbage and not to be influenced by you. And that broke me. It broke something in me to be called garbage by your family. And I, of course, thought it was because of what happened. And everybody hated us because of what happened. And my parents were acting really weird, like we had done something wrong. And every time I would try to bring up, like, why did this happen? What happened? Where is this guy at? Is he going to come get us? I was treated like, just be quiet. And I was treated like there was something wrong. So I had trauma around that I had just internalized. And what that turned into is an inability to sleep when I was a kid. And anxiety. I had major anxiety. And I was fearful all the time. But on this one day where I wasn't fearful and I had just the best time of my life, I learned that my family thought I was garbage, trash. And she was this aunt. I didn't really understand what that meant. I didn't understand that she wasn't speaking for the whole family. I didn't understand, but she was German, very German, very German. And she was weird. She would call her cat Pussy and stuff, and it was just so creepy to me as a kid. She'd like, come here, look at my pussy. My pussy's so beautiful. I hated this lady. And that internalized into an aversion to German people. And also at the time, there were lots of TV shows and stuff where the Germans were bad guys, Hogan's Heroes and all this stuff. And so all I ever really knew was that German people were not cool. All the Nazi stuff. And I don't feel like that anymore. I know as an adult that that was just her speaking and that she's a bitch. And I know that I don't think that she knew what had even happened to us. But that's what I thought as a child. And I needed to examine that. I'm affected by prejudice all the time. I am treated like crap by white people and black people alike because I have been married to a black man for 38 years. I have been treated like shit within my marriage for being white. It's okay for everybody to talk shit about white people, and especially Karens. And I've lived my life just believing what Michael Jackson, TV raised me, entertainment raised me, and what they were putting out was this after school special. And so I really believed that life was like that. Even though all these bad things happened to me, I thought that was because there was something wrong with me. I thought that I was bad. I thought that police officer knew that I was just a whore. I thought that all the years that my husband treated me like a whore, that I had to realize when through this journey with my showers and everything, that I believed that too. I had to sit down and figure out why. I'm not dumb. I'm not educated, but I'm not stupid. Why I would allow my daughter to be raised in a home where she was treated like she wasn't his kid. I had to take responsibility for the life that I had created. And I had to stand up and ask to be treated fairly, and I had to find a way to believe that I was worthy of love. And how do you believe that if everybody you know treats you differently? Every friend that you've ever had has done you wrong or talked about you. Or, there has been literally nobody in my life, pretty much, that has loved me correctly Why am I the only one consistently doing what's right? If it's everybody, it can't be everybody. But I had to figure out it is. If you're only around 20 people, 30 people, and they're all assholes, then it is everybody. And the way to figure that out was my childhood art. When did it all begin? It began in the beginning. And there's no way that a child is guilty because somebody has touched them inappropriately or has beat them or starved them or not taken care of them. There's no excuse to treat a child like that. I was neglected. I was abused. I was abandoned. My mother was driven crazy and left. And then every time I tried to find her, because I was homeless and trying to find a parent, she would take me and then ditch me as soon as she could. And in between that time, there was just a lifetime of her alcoholic abuse and just craziness. Just trauma from an addict because she had been abused by her father. And I can never tell my story because it highlights all the abuse that other people have received. So I'm the one making the noise. I'm the one saying, hey, no fucking more. No more. But at the same time, I'm trying to heal with my daughter. And she's like, get out. I don't want this. And so this is the first Mother's Day that I have not had my daughter. And I've had to look at my parenting. I've had to dismantle this stay-at-home mom thing that I've sacrificed everything to take care of her kids so that she could get an education and she could work and she didn't have to struggle when they were little and she didn't have to worry about them being in daycare because I was abused in daycare. I mean, it's just, but then again, I had to realize too that I had made such a victim of myself that she wasn't able to express the normal pain that she was, not the normal pain, but I wasn't right. It wasn't right. It wasn't right to have a mother that just struggles to want to live and is depressed and deals with this abuse and just makes everything okay and prays everything away and takes him back after all this stuff. It wasn't okay. And in my husband's defense, he was cheating on me and trying to get out of this relationship a long time ago. And I just clung to him like a tick. And he's crazy. But I don't know. Nurture, nature, I don't know. So here I am. It's Mother's Day. And I have set myself to have a pity party. And it's 2 hours on this video. And you're going to like it. Or not. Nobody watches my shit anyway. So I'm putting it out. And I'm telling all my secrets. And don't bother anybody I love. You can bother me all you want. But don't bother anybody I love. And I love and I forgive everybody. I think I needed to say that. And I haven't said it. It's not a kumbaya, everything's okay. It's not that. It's an acceptance in the fact that we are all human. It's an acceptance in the fact that I, at some level, am responsible for this shit and that I have done things wrong too. And I'm struggling in my new adolescence. I'm 56 and I'm a little old lady baby. I'm trying to figure out all kinds of things. Like, do I even want another relationship? How does sex work with another person? I haven't been with anybody since 1986. And I don't know about all these things. And I don't know where to find the information for it. I'm struggling. And while I hated the Twilight movie, I liked the book, the audiobook. I have all these ideas and all this art and all this stuff, and I keep reaching out to people online. I guess I'm thinking somebody's going to come save me. And nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. And I think that that might be okay because I'm getting used to rejection. I'm getting used to rejection. And it's hard healing by yourself with only YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. YouTube is God. God is in YouTube. People create, and they create for their own reasons, and I'm making the video that I never had. So, color purple. As I'm dealing with all this, I'm learning to take back my power and love the color purple. I have purple pants right over there. I have a purple robe. I have all these things where I'm embracing purple. And it is no longer triggering to me. In me trying to make these videos, I've made hundreds of hours of videos and have had to erase them all. I've been creating videos since my first showers, in the peppermint showers. I created sacred bathing practice for myself, and I would film myself in the bathtub working through this trauma and crying in the bathtub and letting it go in sacred baths. And that helped me so much. And I would film it. But then I started getting death threats from a mentally, you can't say, from a guy with Downs. And he didn't realize that he thought I was the Karen that everybody, that was mean to black people, and that so many videos were going around. And so he would constantly just say he was going to find me and kill me. And he said I was a bad day. And he would just, and I tried talking to him. And then I was like, where are your caretakers at? I'm going to tell on you. You know, he used to make these videos on Instagram where he was like dancing and stuff and looking for his true love and whatever. And so I was trying to be nice to him. And he just, it ended up just really hurting my heart. Anyways, I haven't been on Instagram since. I only use YouTube. But that really hurt. And that was another lesson. I have tried to get over the Karen hate. And it hurts my feelings. You guys hurt my feelings. And I'm sick of it. Full of crap. But God named me Karen for a reason. And God, look at this. Saggy boobies on fleek, right? I'm old. I'm old. Hurt people, and I hurt myself. And that's why my teeth looks like this. And the smoking. It is, the biggest raven is flying outside my window and just flew like it was going to come into. That's confirmation. God is in everything. That's why my teeth are like this. Because it stops men from looking at me. It stopped my husband from thinking, well, it doesn't, because he's crazy, so it doesn't, his accusations never made sense. But who wants to be married to this? And I made my identity being a mother and a wife. And that failed. So what do you do when you've had your career, your family? You lose your family, your home, all your dogs, all your possessions, all your everything. And you're right back at square one. My dad, the originator of the abuse and the person who shaped me as a woman, as a female, as whatever, how I felt about myself and what women were. And I've won the lottery. I'm here. I've been able to scream in his face and heal, and I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for teeth. I realize that rapists don't care what your teeth look like or how old you are, if your boobs are saggy or whatever. It's a power thing. But I didn't know that. I've realized that there's nothing wrong with me, but when you are a victim, you carry yourself like a victim, and criminals can spot that. So these attacks kept happening to me because I wasn't healed, and I was walking around like I was prey, and I was preyed upon, and I have been preyed upon by men, and victimized and hurt by women. They hated me when I was beautiful and young and thin. I was hated. I was hated. And it's just a life of always being on the outside. And the only time I was accepted is when I was a good Christian wife. And then that was just surface. There was nobody who even really, you can imagine. And I'm fixing that, but I'm an adolescent. I don't have a bank account, my job, and my car is messed up. I don't have any money. And my dad, as much as he's being a butthead to me, is kind of trapping me here too at the same time. He said he would help. He has the money to help, but he does things that I'm really realizing are in line with a lot of stuff that we see that men do. His Republican self and his misogynistic, he has racism inside him. It's just, purple. I was talking about purple, not my dad's races. So, my dad has a friend named Mike. And Mike lives here. And he brought me a gift for Mother's Day, kind of. But it's just something that he has had in his trailer for years. So he found him and brought him to me. The crazy thing is that I had something the same time that all this was going on. I had the same thing that he brought me. The purple dealing with. And they're these reading glasses. Yes. I had almost this exact same pair, but the purple was off, and it was the only purple thing that I owned. The purple that I had was a little more rosy. This is more a true purple. That one you could kind of label it as mauve. It was the only purple thing that I had. And I loved those glasses. And I lost those glasses. I've actually searched for those glasses online in the intervening years in all over the place. And Mike just found these, and he had found them at a rest stop in he said Eastern Oregon years ago. And he put them in his trailer, and he just found them and brought them to me. God brought me for Mother's Day a purple pair of glasses that I used to find almost the same damn glasses that I had, that I've been searching for. In purple. Now, that's a message. And that's why I'm making this video. Because that turned my Mother's Day around. I was going to sit here and I was planning on crying all day and just feeling sorry for myself. Because I feel like I've lost my daughter. Even though I know I was supposed to be here, and I know that she's entitled to feel any way she needs to feel, and I know that I need to separate myself from that identity as just a mother and in all of these things, right? And I've had to grow, but there couldn't have been any better gift that God would have given me than the reminder of all the hard work that I have done to heal myself so that I can be the best mom I can be, that I can be accountable for the pain that I've allowed my daughter to experience, that she was a miracle. I manifested her, and I should have protected her better. And I didn't know any better, but now I do. In these glasses, that's how God speaks to me. Little things like that. Not every heavenly revelation has to come with a thunderclap or a rainbow or all these other stuff. It could just be as simple as a new friend bringing you a pair of reading glasses. Why would this 81-year-old manly man, this is an amazing manly man. Mike is, no, he's 82. Mike was in the Air Force, the Navy, and the Coast Guard. He's ridden a Harley from Alaska all the way down to Mexico. He's had parrots and all kinds of dogs. He had a diving poodle. He's been married since the 50s to a woman named Bunny that he can't stand. Him and my dad sit up here and talk politics, and they just love the drama on these trash talking channels, and they sit here and watch westerns. They watch black and white movies and smoke what they smoke and drink what they drink and do whatever they want, and they eat anything they want. He's had I don't know how many heart attacks. He doesn't give a shit. Why would he pick up or even keep a lady's diamond studded set of glasses in this little carrier for years and then randomly bring it to me on the day that I need it the most? I'm having a hard time seeing forward. I have a book in me. I have all these crazy psychic things, and I have seriously, excuse me, spent the last 2 months wondering if I'm insane and questioning my own sanity. And I think that insane is a spectrum. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to share with the world and why. I want to win the lottery, but I know that I already have. I know that people don't just have the time to sit on their ass for years and do navel gaze for years and to what's it called? To extrapolate nuggets of wisdom from their doodles. I'm lucky. And so today, I sit here, a mother, a grandmother, a daughter, a stepdaughter, and a daughter-in-law. I'm in the middle. And I have raised a beautiful, strong woman. My baby is beautiful. Oh, man. This is her when she was little. And you want to see her daughter? You want to see her son? They look just like her. My husband's genes are strong. She can say she doesn't feel love from me. She can say that whatever. And that's okay. It hasn't been okay. I have really fought that, and that has wounded me deeply. But I love her. And she's an amazing mother. And she's so smart and talented. She's an esthetician and a social worker. She's just... she's a great mom. And my grandson has been helping me with my fear of men. And just, it's tempting to just write all men off and you know, but he's such a great guy that it gives me hope, you know. And my granddaughter is just so herself, so just legitimately 1,000% herself. She's smart and kind and was just the craziest baby. She's beautiful and unique. And that makes me so proud, because I had a hand in that. I had a hand in that. And I did better with them than I did with my daughter. And now I've lived my life for them, and now I'm living my life for me. I'm going to live my life for me. But it's hard to figure out where I'm going. I feel like a kid, like I'm facing adulthood and I don't know which direction I want to go in. And the dreams that I have all seem like pipe dreams. You know, I have this book, but I don't know how to write it. But I've spent years developing it. Why would God give me all this if I couldn't write it? I don't know. And I'm trying to figure it out. I get guidance all over the place. And these glasses today, and something that is so much alike to something that I lost, but I have gained it again. In a color in a pure color that is so pivotal to my growth, the color purple. And unlocking the triggers that we have inside of us. I've been able to go back in time, not that I can actually time travel, but mentally in the stories that I tell myself. In the times in my life that I was under stress and I felt like there was something else with me, like God was with me, I've been able to go back and imagine myself observing it and comforting myself. I have been my own higher power in a sense. Not that I think that, you know, I know that it was God that helped me and snatched me up out of that house when I was lured to that house as a kid and I was raped. I know that that was God, but I've gone back and walked through it too and witnessed it. Not to be the victim, but to see as much as I could see honestly and to reason it out as an adult, as a grandmother, you know, and later on to think, how has this shaped me? Being here with my dad, it's been very painful, but at the same time, I've seen a lot of ways that I'm like my dad that I never knew. And I think that my dad has seen what it's like to actually have a family. And I don't know. I know that this is a good thing. And I know that my time here is nearing an end. I don't know where I'm going or what's going to happen. And I'm ill prepared. You know, but baby steps. And the first thing I think is to not sit here and cry all day because I don't have the validation from my child that I was a good mother. I know that I was a good mother. I know that I made mistakes too. And I think that's part of being a mother. I think I did a great job for the situation. But I have to take responsibility for the situation. And that's okay. And it's been very hard sitting here doing that. It's okay. But where do we go from here? I don't know. I'm an adolescent. I'm a teenager, and I'm letting that happen. I'm eating junk food that I shouldn't eat and being starved at the same damn time. This man never eats. But I realize as well that had I had all that, I'd probably never leave here, you know? I'm doing better. And I'm healing. And I'm trying to figure out how to help other people do the same thing I've done. Because I have an inner peace that I think a lot of us need. But I don't know that what worked for me can work for anybody else. But I'm going to try. And I'm going to try to sell my art. And I wrote a song, a psychic song. And I'm psychic. And I'm not psychic like anybody else. I don't know how to find that information. I don't have any money. They make you pay for that information. And nobody wants my song. I'm going to sing it, though. It's called Bunny's Song. And it's a rewrite of Save Me by Jelly Roll. And I got it psychically. And I'm not a good singer. My leg is asleep. That's why I keep moving back and forth. Hold on. I have you sitting in a box of pens. Maybe I could move you. I'm going to sing this, and then I'm going to be done. Get up. And maybe my dad will take me for a pizza. Maybe not. And that's okay, too. I'm learning to just go with the flow. Okay, you want to hear my song? Okay. This is Bunny's song, and it is in the style and tune or whatever of Save Me by Jelly Roll. And what happened was, and I don't want to be the weird person on the internet that's like, I have a message from your dead father. I don't want to do that. I don't want anything from anybody. I just am trying to share what happened. And I've tried to give it to them, and they don't want it. And that's fine. Because guess what? This song has saved me, and maybe that's the point of it. Maybe that's why God gave it to me, and I'm not supposed to give it to them, but I was just supposed to understand her situation. And the song has literally saved my life several times. So, I was half asleep, half awake, and I'm waking up, and I'm hearing Save Me by Jelly Roll. And this was... It was late spring. It was around this time last year. And yeah, I think it was around this time last year. Yeah, around this time last year. And something was, I was trying to reference it because something was going on with Jelly Roll back then. And the song was everywhere. It was popular. It was popping off. And so I was hearing it as I was waking up, and I was hearing Save Me by Jelly Roll. And then I hear a voice. I hear a man's voice that I didn't recognize say, words have power. Jelly's not there anymore, and neither are you. And then I see this sunset, and I know in my heart that it's I'm a California girl. It's a California sunset. And over water. And floating is this giant bouquet of flowers. Beautiful bouquet of flowers, but not like any bouquet that I've ever seen. It is surrounded on the outside with feathers and dry grass and dried leaves and just country stuff, not stuff that you would see at any florist. And I remember thinking, even as I'm coming awake, wow, where the hell do you buy that at? Like, it was beautiful. And I feel this overwhelming feelings of just love. And, makes me want to cry just thinking about it. It was beautiful. And I woke up knowing that I had to rewrite this song. I'm not a songwriter. I struggle with writing my own freaking book. I've never done anything like this. And I can't sing. I smoked for 38 years and there were certain sounds that I couldn't make, and I was very self-conscious about singing, but I felt helped and guided. It wasn't like there was somebody telling me what to do. I just, when I would write something and it wasn't right, I would just know that it wasn't right, and I just kept doing it and doing it. It took me all day to rewrite the song. And then it's taken me a year to sing it. Just keep singing it. And I've sung it and sung it and sung it in good times and bad, and it has saved my life. I've typed it out. I don't know how many times. I finally got scraped together my little money and got an AI subscription and did an AI song of it. But it's not right. None of the versions were right. But it made the compulsion to share it go away. So that was good. And I'm going to sing it now. And I'm not a singer, so don't make fun of me. Actually, nobody's probably going to see this, so it doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to get clout off of anybody else or be a weirdo. I've posted this, and people have just lambasted me, calling me bipolar and all these things. And I got a psychic song. I'm reaching off to these people. I'm not. It's just when something like this happens, it didn't come from me. I don't know what to do with it. I'm just trying to find my way. But I'm not trying to scam anybody. I don't want shit. Anyways, it's almost 2.5 hours. If this cuts off in the middle of the song, then that's goodbye. I love you. Okay. Bunny Song by me. That's me, Kay Marie. Karen. Okay. Somebody saved me from my hell. I spent so long hiding from myself. I knew my lifestyle was as bad as I felt, but I only knew to play what I'd been dealt. All of that drinking and smoking was hiding the lessons that I'd need. I had to be done being broken. Only we can set ourselves free. I'm not a lost cause. God didn't waste his time on me. I'm not damaged beyond repair. My babies help me see I'm not a lost cause. God didn't waste his time on me. I'm not damaged beyond repair. Unselfish love's guided me through. What if my lifestyle and all I've been through was just because I needed to reach you? What if all the sorrow we clearly share was just the key to get you to care? All of us seem to be broken, and most of us can't afford repairs. We're poisoned with truth left unspoken. We'll do anything not to be bare. You're not a lost cause. God didn't waste his time on you. You're not damaged beyond repair. You already know what to do. You're not a lost cause. Life just ain't fucking fair. Reach out to someone that you love. And love's already there. You're going to make it. Through. Hold on, Dad. Through. You're going to make it. Just keep going.